Carl and Damon here from Games, Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for sure. And it's they made what into a movie? Happy New Year 2024. And we are beginning with something that it shows based around a wintry location. It's January, it's cold, it's snowy some places. It seemed like a good idea to then cover something that is covered in snow. So I went looking and I was like, of course, the 2021 American comedy horror film, Werewolves Within. You're thinking, wait, what? Is that a video game adaptation? It turns out it is. I was as stunned as you were. I actually went randomly watched this one day. I remember being like, all right, cool, I'm going to watch this horror movie. And then obviously I read up about it and I was like, wait, this is a video game? Confused as well. But the game is a multiplayer social deduction VR game for Oculus Rift, Windows and PlayStation VR. Developed by Red Storm Entertainment, published by Ubisoft and released on the 6th of December 2016. In it, it's set in a medieval fantasy town that's been attacked by a werewolf. And players are tasked to guess which of the townsfolk is the werewolf in disguise in a Mafia-style format. That is the game. So it's a VR game. No one I'd ever bloody heard of. I've never used VR. Nope. I have no interest in using VR, if I'm honest. But there you go. Yeah. So, directed by Josh Rubin from a screenplay by Mishana Wolf. I thought that was quite funny. Yeah. And then last name was Wolf. Yes, so this film was a fucking bomb. Oh my goodness me. Unsurprisingly. Yeah. Because I don't remember this getting promoted, being advertised. I didn't see it until I just came across it. And I definitely didn't know the video game links. And then I still don't really get why. It's a weird adaptation to do, and I realise that it's like, no, we're just going to do a film anyway. Yeah. Not so much, and it's very like a loose adaptation. It's a VR game nonetheless. Yeah. But this is, they made what into a movie. This falls into it, so we're covering it. I mean, if it wasn't for you mentioning it as covering it, I'd never have heard of this. I've written a review for it on the site, so that's where it exists there. And that review had me sitting squarely in the middle, where I was like, you know what, I've seen worse. But I don't think this is a good movie either. But I'll explain more as I go on as to why I don't think it's a good movie. But I wasn't alone in that, or at least in regards to the fact that people that saw it. The film grossed just under $600,000 in the United States and Canada, and about $400,000 in other territories, for a worldwide total of about just under $1 million. The budget was 6.5. Wow. So didn't even make $1 million on that 6.5. So yeah, if you're ever expecting a sequel or any follow-up on this, dream on. A cast. We've got a big cast here. An unnecessarily big cast. Sam Richardson as Finn Wheeler. I love him. Yeah. He's one of my favourite in this because he's fucking adorable. I want to hug him. I want to cuddle him.
He's too nice, man.
I want to sit down and cuddle him and just shake his hand. I want to give him a little kiss. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Milana Vantriub as Cecily Moore. I liked her to begin with, but I'll explain why I start to dislike her heavily as it goes on. George Basil as Marcus. Sarah Burns as Gwen. Michael Chernus as Pete Anderton. Catherine Curtin as Janine Sherman. Wayne Duvall as Sam Parker. Harvey Gillen as Joaquin Wilson. Rebecca Henderson as Dr. Jane Ellis. Cheney Jackson as Devin Wilson. Michaela Watkins as Trisha Anderton. See what I mean? Glenn Fleischer as Emerson Flint. Patrick M. Walsh Jr. as Dave Sherman. You might think, well, why have you listed all the cast? They are all in this movie and on screen for a lot of the time.
The moment, as soon as I saw the people, I thought, okay, well, there's going to be a lot of deaths. I thought half of you are either half of you are dying or you're all dying.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's just a shame the way they fucking do it. But you know what? Like, of course, this many characters mean there's bugger all development for anyone really, and some of the twists are downright done in such a wacky way that I was a bit like, okay, you're trying to be funny, but you're losing sight of the kind of realism that this film should still have, because it certainly implies it tries to be a bit more realistic at times.
I didn't realise it was a comedy horror.
But you didn't laugh?
No.
Wow, that's an indictment of the movie.
Yeah, no. What I mean is, I thought I was watching an actual werewolf film, a horror film. But then when I started all the comedy, I thought, well, this is quite funny. So this can't be.
Well, so you didn't really. Yeah, it's a comedy horror film. You can be a horror film and be horror with gore, violence, and blood and guts and all that.
Funny moment.
Evil Dead 2. is a comedy horror movie.
Yeah.
Did you just shrug as if to say, Evil Dead 2 is famously a comedy horror movie?
More comedy than horror. But...
No. Evil Dead 2 is more horror than comedy. Army of Darkness is more comedy than horror.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah.
The original Evil Dead, the very first one, is horror, no comedy. Yeah. But remember Evil Dead 2, the hand, little fingers, blood, all that. That's. I mean, it's horror but comedy. This is the same thing. But I want to just come back to two specific characters that I think are a good example of why this movie deserves a lot of criticism. Specifically, Harvey Guillén as Joaquin Wolfson and Channing Jackson as Devon Wolfson. Now, these are the gay characters of the film. The two gay characters of this and are written in the most piss-poor, insulting... 2021 this film came out. And why are we still writing gay characters as being, what are they? Catty bitches.
Proper, man.
Catty bitches. And you know what really makes me fucking angry? Is when I first watched this film. Roughly around the time it came out. And I hadn't then watched the show, What We Do in the Shadows. Have you heard of What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah.
The movie is a classic. But the TV show that's shown on FX, I absolutely adore. I love that show. Absolutely do. And Harvey Guillén plays a major character in that. He plays Guillermo. And he is fabulous. Fucking brilliant. He is in that as well gay, but he's in a closet gay. But that's not his character. His character isn't I'm gay. His character is Guillermo.
Yeah.
He's a familiar. He's got all these things going on and stuff like that, looking after the vampires and trying to protect them, but also being treated. All this stuff.
Yeah.
He is brilliant. Easily often my favourite part of that entire show.
But then initially,
to see him here put into this horrible typecast, catty gay man who's got money, is all like, ooh, girl, and all stuff like that. It's grow up,
ridiculous,
man.
Ridiculous, they constant screaming. And
It's such a piss-poor portrayal. And it's just lazy. And what bothers me is because it's like, they can be gay, but why can't they just be like everybody else?
Yeah, that's it.
But it's not. They're giving these super catty things, and it's like,
just every little,
It's a caricature of a gay man and a gay couple, and I hated it for that. Because now I know that actor, and I'm like, this actor does good work. And you've given him, because he's one, I think he's terrible in this. I think a lot of them are terrible in this. But my God, I was like, that's why I wanted to focus on them, because he's, to me, a really familiar face. Because we actually, as a time recording, I just, only a few weeks ago, finished a new season of What We Do in the Shadows. And obviously, Guillermo, if you know that season, is probably playing the most significant role he's played of all the seasons in this latest season. So it's when his name popped up, I was like, oh shit! And I was like, oh, I watched this back in the day, and I didn't know who he was.
I mean, cast-wise, I don't recognise any of them.
Faces. There's a couple of faces that I recognise.
The Hunter, I recognised him. I'm sure I've seen him somewhere, but other than that,
there's a it's faces more than anything else. And I'm pretty sure Finn Wheeler. SNL, am I right there? I feel like SNL is where I recognised him from.
See, at first I thought he was, but that bloke Keenan.
You thought he does look a bit like Keenan.
That's what I thought it was, but obviously it's not him.
If you look at a picture of Keenan now, because Keenan's on SNL and stuff like that,
that's what I thought.
You can certainly see there's familiarities. Pudgy, bit fat, round face, bald head, the way he speaks. And stuff like that, you definitely can. But happily, I can totally see where you're coming from. Happily, I think he does stand out. Like as you watch, you realise like it's not the character, same actor at all. Okay, so tell me, what do you off camera said that you enjoyed this?
Yeah, I mean, when I say I enjoy it, I don't mean like an 8 out of 10. I'm talking like a 6 out of 10. You know, it was fun. It had some good moments. I mean.
We're gonna spoil it anyway. We're talking it through.
I mean, the ending was ridiculous. You know, there's a lot of twists. You know, at one point, I thought every character was the werewolf.
Well, then they did its job because it's designed to do that.
Of course, but then I thought the look of the werewolf was terrible. And I think I actually thought they could have just avoided the whole werewolf. Well, it could have just been a rumor, and it could have just been a killer. You know, just avoid the whole werewolf. It could have just been a rumor. You know.
Okay, so yeah, you actually nailed certain things that I 100% agree with. Well, I don't I didn't get what you did. I thought it was really obvious. I thought it was really obvious who the werewolf is. I really did. And certainly because of how the film... I basically looked and went, oh, it's a major character. It's a major character.
Yeah,
and then halfway through, I'm like, well, who's had the most screen time? And then you started eliminating. It's like, oh, the film's trying to pretend it's this person. No, it's not. Don't be... And all this stuff, right? So I felt like it was obvious, right?
Yep.
However, I think you nailed what this film did wrong. I generally think it should have been no one. And I don't think it should have been a killer either.
Yep.
I think... Because let's jump to it now. At the end, most of the time, it's all about townspeople going crazy through suspicion, and then killing each other. And I think in flashbacks, we could have seen that the people who died at the beginning was accidental, and we just and that could have tied into the comedy horror thing where this person died because they did this stupid thing, or whatever, and that's what it is. And it turned out there was no werewolf all along. It was just about suspicion and freaking out and stuff. All of that. And that would have been funny as well.
Yep.
The problem is, right, is this film fucks itself so hard by basically screwing up every twist itself. So it will spend most of its time trying to go, what if it's this person? What if it's that person? It will even try at a certain point to try and convince us that Sam Richardson's Finn Wheeler, even though he's been on camera in scenes where other things have happened. It's like, well, it can't be him. The problem is early on this film tells you a werewolf exists. It with the noises and the reactions. And later on with the generators, you're telling us that something does exist. So you eliminate so many paths that we can go down. So all we're left with, well, who is it? It's like, what if it was... And I love the idea of what if it being no one. And it was a town caught up with paranoia and mass hysteria. And you know why... And that would have been fucking cool as hell. But instead, it is so literal.
I mean, the fact that it could have been Finn anyway, because the first guy dies before he's even arrived in
That
town.
made me laugh so hard
like,
when they try to pretend it was him.
He hadn't arrived yet.
And then you've got, what if it's one of the others? What you mean the characters you've given all of 2 minutes time to? Or what if it's the really cute major character, fun and cocky and all of that? What if it's that person? Wouldn't that be a twist? But I'm not, you know what I mean? And you know what, that's fine. But I actually have a bigger reason why I hate the fact that it's Cecily. I really thought Cecily and Finn were cute.
Yeah.
I think they have good chemistry and I liked how they are together. And don't get me wrong, I think she's written in a way that's a little bit unrealistic.
Yeah.
But the film will acknowledge that. And she will say, I seemed a little too good to be true. And I was like, that's brilliant writing, because she is. Because she's every nerd who thinks lives in her fucking mother's basement wanking over goddamn pictures of Jessica Rabbit and stuff like that, while thinking that women owe them something and all that, but think they're a nice guy and all that. She's that dream woman where she's into me and she's into the stuff I like and all of this, and she wants to go to comic conventions and stuff like that, all this stuff. You dream woman, and don't get me wrong, I'm not there are plenty of women like that and so on, all that. But what I'm saying is it is the dream woman for a certain type of person, right? So I love the fact that she acknowledges that. And I'm like, there it is. It's just the fact that I didn't really want that to be the case. But then, just because I don't want it to be the case doesn't mean it doesn't work, But it's the fact that she acknowledged that I appreciate it.
Who would you have chosen then?
What, as well?
Yeah.
Oh, well, like I said, to none of them.
If you had to, who would be the obvious one?
Not an obvious one, but if you really want to subvert things, it would be
Doctor
Janine, the owner of the lodge.
Yeah.
She's in a lot of the movie. In fact, she's in the final fucking scene, for goodness sake. She's in a lot of the movie. Her husband being killed is one of the catalysts. I think that could have worked.
Yeah, she's in the middle, yeah.
Like the kind old lady who's always crying as well and getting upset and stuff like that.
So at the end, when she obviously shoots down the arrow, I completely forgot about her.
Yeah, of course you do, because there's too many fucking characters.
I was like, she didn't die, did she?
Yeah, because there's too many. That's it. There's so many characters, you just forget half of them are even in it. It's like, you're a thing, and so on. Anyway, let's get a little into the movie. It's set in the town of Beaversfield, Vermont, as we see an elderly man out in the woods. He seems pleased by the texts he's getting. He's getting some texts. And takes his wedding ring off. So you're like, oh, okay. That's why he's happy about those texts. He takes the wedding ring off, meaning he's having an affair.
But it's for a text, man. She can't see the ring through the text.
No, he's not taking it. He's taking it off for his.
Yeah, for his benefit. Yeah.
Before we see something moving fast into the bushes, which startles him, and I was like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Nearby, we see an immense house in the background, followed by the man being grabbed by something and seen and dragged about. He tries to crawl away, but is clearly killed off screen. And immediately, and there you go. You're like, okay, so obviously it's a werewolf, or it's something as like it, or whatever. And it's like, wow. So no subterfuge then.
Nope.
You know? Because like I said, if they'd done this in a different way, just write it a little bit different. Because that's something fast. Could have been a deer moving fast.
Yeah.
And you flash back to that. And then maybe you see he stepped on a fucking bear trap and fell down and broke his neck. Problem is then how did he get underneath? But then you could tie that into his wife found his body, but she was scared about if he was dead, she would lose the lodge, so she hid his body until she could decide what to do.
Get blamed for the murder, no one's around.
All of this could be done in a fun, quick flashback scene where it reveals there was never anything, you know?
Yeah.
His scream is then mirrored by Finn Wheeler in his car as he listens to his sort of self-help tape. It's one of those cuts.
Yeah.
I always think, right, they've done these cuts where someone's screaming and it cuts someone else. What do you always think of? Because I always think of the worst example of that I've ever seen in a movie. Here I don't mind it. Because it's just him, he's listening to a self-help tape which has encouraged you to get your scream and get your anger out and stuff like that. Have you seen The Lost World Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Which is the second Jurassic Park movie.
Okay, yeah.
At the beginning of that movie, there's a really harrowing scene of a little guy getting cut up or murdered or bitten by little dinosaurs. And in it, the mother comes running along, and it must be so bad, so harrowing, that she screams like that. She even does a hand like, right? So like that's a really harrowing scene. And then because that movie is such a joke, its idea is like cut away from that really horrible scene to Jeff Goldblum standing in a subway. The scream is now being mirrored by the train that's blowing wind on him, and he's yawning, which might look like a scream. Man, that still rankles me. I still hate that movie for that scene alone.
As a kid, I actually thought funny. I thought she was screaming because she saw Jeff.
Then that's what they want to do. Yeah. It's supposed to make you laugh, and it's like, but it's
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous because we just did that's my best example. This isn't that, but it is still a bit awkward because I was like, why is he screaming in his car? And it's a bit like, okay,
yeah.
It is 29.5 days later. Full moon cycle, so it's okay, Yeah. And we immediately see that he might be a bit of a meek character as he drives slowly and takes prompt from the tapes. It's an egregious example of a meek character. He's driving really slowly as everybody's trying to get past him and so on. He's like, well, I'm doing the speed limit and all that kind of thing,
Reminds me when I'm driving at work and I've got to do 20 because I'm only allowed to do 20 in my van. And then people go...
If that's the speed limit, yeah. Of course, we all know how driving goes. As he arrives in town, he calls a woman and leaves her a voicemail showing off his newfound determination to get what he wants. Not a fan of this scene because I find it a little bit weird. Because there's nothing wrong with being a polite, decent human being. And what it seems to be is he's like, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell her that I want a date and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not how it works.
No.
And what it also did to me was, and this is going to do it later on as well, I stopped being sympathetic to his meekness and thinking, oh, he's cute. And do you know what I start to think? He's pathetic. Oh, grow some balls, you loser.
Do you think it gives out the impression that basically nice guys finish last? Is that
I don't know what you mean by that.
Like that, if you're nice, but
no, I know what nice guys do. But what do you mean? Like gives the impression?
Like towards the end, obviously he lets out his anger. And
right, I see what you're saying. Like, okay,
and fights back.
Yeah, oh, it's giving the idea that like, oh, you shouldn't be nice because nice guys finish last. That kind of thing. Yeah, and all that. Yes, to a degree, but thankfully, I don't think it's egregious about it.
No.
Like in that sense, because he does acknowledge he likes who he is, and he likes the fact that he doesn't want to be this demanding or assertive and stuff like that. I just didn't love the fact that he makes this phone call because immediately I'm like, oh, and later on when he gets the voicemail and it's because she wants the card or whatever and all that, and it's revealed that basically they've split up, but he doesn't, like, they've split up, but he's still like holding a hope.
Yeah.
You know what starts to make him look like? Like I said, a loser.
Desperate.
I start to think he's pathetic. And I'm no longer like going, it's kind of cute. And like, we could all be better human beings.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dude, you're pathetic. But then that doesn't mean I want him to go kick down her door and demand that she takes him back. That's the opposite fucking thing.
Yep.
You can do a little bit of both. You can be a stronger man, a stronger human being, a stronger woman, a stronger person overall in certain scenarios. But, you know, being a decent human being is never going to be faulted. I'm not sure this film fully understands that.
Yeah, because for
He's
me,
mocked a little too much
they
for
go,
it.
they go over, because
They do go over the top,
throughout the entire film. I don't even think he holds a gun once, does he?
Well, they do a whole thing about his, about
Pepper
not
spray.
having a gun and stuff like that.
Pepper spray and shit.
But I would argue he surely maybe didn't make it this far in his career as an officer being this meek.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you would have serious problems if you were this much of, this goddamn cowed and scared.
You wouldn't have that job, surely not.
You ask the question, why do you even get the job or take the job?
Yeah.
There are these problems with his character,
of course,
big time like that. We see him arrive at the big house from the start, and we find out it's now a lodge. That's where we find out this is a lodge, a basic hotel.
Yeah.
Finn ends up interrupting the conversation between the owner, Janine. Janine is the owner, and a businessman named Sam Parker who is proposing a pipeline. It's here we learn that Finn is a new forest ranger and he's been stationed here while the pipeline is being built. We also learn that there's no guarantee it will be built, though it needs a majority vote. So this is the major plot line running through, like the pipeline running through it, which is basically this pipeline is being built, wants to be built, like a lot of films, going to destroy the natural beauty and all that.
Yeah.
And the townspeople have to vote on it. Some people want to do it because it means they get a lot of money because they're selling their houses and stuff like that. Others don't want to do it because they want to destroy the natural beauty and stuff like that. This should have been a really strong story part. And it's used in a throwaway reason as to why people go crazy at the end in particular, along with the suspicions.
Yeah.
Because some want it built, the ones that don't want it built tend to have money already.
Yep.
That could have been a really interesting thing. And you know what would have helped? The problem is when we start getting introduced to the town, nobody seems at loggerheads.
No.
They actually all seem okay with each other. I would immediately have Finn walk into fucking feuds that are going on.
Arguing, fighting.
Anger, arguing, having to interrupt something, a dispute and all that. Everybody just seems okay.
Yeah.
It's like, where is the fucking weight behind that then? Finn is shown to his room, and once again we see how he lacks an assertive side. And this is where I was starting to get a bit all like, you're a bit of an... Because she's like, I'll carry all the bar and all that. And he's like, oh no. Really?
Yeah.
Good God. Just like, no, I'm going to take these
I'll
ones.
take my bags, yeah.
Yeah, or you take that one, I'll take these. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Finn now meets Mel carrier Cecily Moore. Cecily. I will say her name drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Cecilia, but Cecily. I knew I was going to have trouble. I remember writing it down in the notes going, I'm going to have problems with this. Cecily. He gives him a letter, one that appears to be a case from a local environmentalist that is staying in the lodge. And I was, what? Huh? This is one of these many annoying things about this character, the environmentalist, that I really don't like. You know what's really annoying about her? Is she's set up as the MacGuffin, meaning that anytime we need to fill in a blank, she'll do it.
She'll do it, yeah.
But she ends up filling in no
No.
blanks, and then she's out of the movie. And I was like, what the hell was the point of that? There's a particular scene where it's like they build up to a reveal that should be simply the reveal. And you know what it doesn't do? Doesn't reveal anything. Goes inconclusive, and then she's out of the movie a minute later. And I was like, that was so dumb. That was so dumb.
It was, yeah.
It's like they're like, we don't want to tell you.
I know.
But we know it is.
Obvious.
Stop doing this. But here we see Finn and Cecily do have good chemistry, and they're cutely awkward when talking. Like I said, I found it adorable.
Yeah.
And I think the actors have good chemistry.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
On the way out, they talk, and Cecily reveals that Janine's husband is believed to have run off with a woman he met at a bar. And I was like, okay, I can pretty much guess this is the man from the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you do, I think, decent plot point elements. You don't actively tell me who it was, but I'm like, I could put two and two together there. And like, he was waiting for But then you're like, that's what because obviously he disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and if he's cheating, she might be suspicious that he's cheating before. He may have cheated before him in court.
Yep.
And all these things. But you know what I'm really loving? I'm loving the location. The wintry location of it.
Yeah,
beautiful white snow, constantly. It's lovely looking. It's one of those where it's like we didn't CGI this in.
Yeah,
this is the weather.
That's what I was for. I was looking at it thinking, is that fake snow?
No, some elements might have been when he wanted it to snow.
Yep.
They might have used then.
But
the actual ground location, you can tell how they walk. There's a lot of gingerly walking here, and I was like, this is because you're not walking on like padding. I liked it.
Yep.
As the pair walk through the town, Cecily does the introductions. I hated this bit. What I see is the rundown of the characters.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not how you do good writing.
No.
You do not have a character spend 5 to 10 minutes going, this character, and this is their personality trait.
Yep.
Ooh, that's bad. Starting with the wealthy couple, Devon and Joaquin Wolfson. We obviously have already criticised them. Then we meet mechanics / white trash couple, Gwen and Marcus. That's what their character is. They're the white trash members of this, you know? Finally, they meet Trisha Anderson, one of the more eccentric characters, and her husband, Pete, who has wandering eyes and hands. Okay, they're the funniest ones of them.
Yeah.
I will say Pete might be the funniest. Because he does it in a way that's supposed to come across really innocent and stuff like that, but it's so gross. In front of his own wife as well as that. Trisha is mental. But she's a character that I could at least buy, goes down this path, because when we meet her, she's already a bit off.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is believable. It's the others I got questions about. Everyone seems friendly enough, and we see that the pipeline is causing a divide amongst the residents, because here we get a little bit of argument and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cecily also reveals that Pete has cheated on his wife with Gwen, and that there are only a few holdouts against the pipeline left. Thanks, Cecily, for bringing me up to speed there. As they continue their walk, they talk family, and Finn reveals that he has a sister, while Cecily has a big family. So, why do I care about Finn's sister? Is irrelevant. I thought that's who he was talking to on the phone. Mm-hmm. I thought that was it. Yeah. But I had no reason to think that.
No,
and later on it wasn't the case. Yeah. But, there's your first Cecily hint. Once you know, it means nothing. Mm-hmm. Once you know, big family like wolves. Arriving at the point where they separate, Finn goes ahead to deliver packages to a resident who has chosen to live isolated away. Not paying attention because of a phone call, Finn fails to see the signs warning people away, but ends up at Emerson Flint's cabin. He gets a bit too noisy, resulting in a lazy double jump scare. Yeah. Get in the bin. The first one was bad, the second was even worse. Before he's held at gunpoint by Emerson. Emerson demands that Finn leave, and when the latter tries to assert his will over a complaint, it goes badly and Finn runs off. Because, Yeah. Cecily is waiting for him, and they go to the bar for some food. When Cecily comes out with some drinks, it's clear that Finn might be in turn. She comes out without her jacket on. Yeah. And he does the kind of slow motion, look how sexy she is, that kind of thing. Yeah. Finn reveals to her that he got transferred for breaking some fishing permit laws. That I laughed at, because of course it's going to be something that pathetic. Yeah, of course. Right? Yeah. I thought you could easily have done the whole, I got angry. Yeah. And punch some guy. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't fit the character. No. But breaking some fishing permit laws is generally just like, okay. He also reveals that he has a girlfriend named Charlotte, and she dumped him effectively, seeing him as too weak. And I was kind of like, good God, this character's a bit much now. Yeah. You know? The realization hits Finn, and Cecilia encourages him to do some axe throwing to let off some steam. However, he's not great at it. Here's where this film again falls apart. I thought the whole, let's do some axe throwing, felt really awkward. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, that's really random. Yeah, I thought she was going to say, let some agate scream, which would tie into what he was doing at the start and stuff like that. But let's do some axe throwing and stuff like that. Until you see the end, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. It only exists for the ending. For that reason, yeah. Which makes it even more awkward on second watching. They continue to talk, and it turns out they have a lot in common. But they are cute. Like I said, I think they've got good chemistry. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it seems as though a kiss is on the cards. But his phone rings from Charlotte, and he chooses to answer this phone. And angry, Cecily walks her out. But we find out that Charlotte only ran because she wanted his AAA card. Listen, if you were on the fence about the character up to this point, Finn, I was like, wow, slap that man. Slap that man, seriously. That is insane. Like, that's genuinely absurd. And Cecily has every right to be angry. Yeah. That night, a blizzard knocks out all the power in Beaverfield. We see Trisha letting her dog out to pee, but something big approaches, and the lead gets really tight before snapping off. Whatever did it is outside the door now, as Trisha screams when she opens the blind. But we don't see what it is. No. Won't really get an explanation either.
Did she actually see the wolf, or did she say... She never really said, did she?
No, I think it's implied that later on it's your man with the night vision goggles hunting it. Yeah. Cut to the next morning as Finn is woken up by screaming. So there's a transition again.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't have minded it right here if I was like, oh, make that a common theme. Make several of your transitions always a scream.
Yeah.
But it's kind of dropped from this point onwards, which is a bit,
yeah.
Rushing down the stairs, Trisha is in the lobby screaming about a devil that took her baby. She was brought here by other residents who are now trying to calm her. And nearby Sam suggests it was probably a coyote. So this is where we start dropping his suspicions of people because he's quick to dismiss it and all that. Mm-hmm. Big problem with this. So what did she do from the moment she screamed at home to morning now? Mm-hmm. It was still dark then.
Yeah.
She stood there screaming, or she went back to bed, woke up, screamed, and then the neighbours... See what I mean?
Yeah.
It should have been still night, and the neighbours brought her here because they were woken up by her screaming.
Yep.
Environmentalist Dr. Jane Ellis now arrives, confused by the events, but revealing that she's there to try and stop the pipeline. Okay, I don't care. Cecily declares that power is out all over the town as other residents arrive. Apparently the storm took out the road and the power, and it's not done yet. It's going to start up again tonight.
Yep. We
get a really poor bit of CGI if we look through the binoculars. It does look bad. Finn goes to town and discovers that all of Beaverfield's generators were seemingly sabotaged by something with big claws. And they show us. And it's the biggest mistake they made.
Yeah.
I would have had just focus on Finn's face.
Yep.
We don't ever really know.
You haven't got to see anything, man.
We don't know if the generators were actually sabotaged. Just show his face and also do his line. Because he does say this a lot. Heavens to Betsy.
I know.
Because remember, he's that kind of guy.
I mean, if you're trying to make him out to be, say, the suspect, as you said, don't show it.
Don't show it. Show his face.
Could be lying.
You can look at the generator and maybe his face gets a bit serious.
Yep.
So we never know if the generators...
Exactly.
Or if the generators were broken... We don't know if it was a werewolf or if it was an axe. Or
exactly.
Just, you know what I mean?
Anything,
but they show us these big claw rips down the side. And well, clearly a monster did that.
Yeah, because ain't bloody Freddy Krueger, is it? Well, actually.
Well, that might have been, yeah. He notices, though, something by the lodger's generator. A piece of clothing that when he pulls reveals an arm.
That's, in older white snow, man. You spot that, man?
I would also say worse than that. It's covered. There's leaves everywhere. He somehow spots a little bit of blue and then decides to pull that, rather than presuming, it's like some tarp covering something underneath the lodge. He decides to pull it.
If you've just seen claw marks and you're a bit of a coward anyway, seen some claw marks, you ain't gonna start pulling them. You're gonna leg it back to the back.
It's a bit of blue. I don't necessarily think that, because it's today. Remember, people are braver in the day too more than anything else. Yeah. But he does pull on it, revealing an arm. Going inside with the main caster, he reveals what he found in the town. And as everyone starts to argue, Finn takes a deep breath and reveals the dead body. That was a funny scene. Just the way he says it. I love the matter-of-fact way he says it. It turns out to be Janine's missing husband, Dave, and he's been torn apart. Sam reckons that a wolf did it, and Dr. Jane agrees, and she seems particularly interested in it. And it's like, well, of course a wolf did it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? She takes a sample of something.
I thought it was a hair, but
it is. I presume it is a hair too.
Yeah.
Or saliva or something. And heads inside, followed by everyone else who seem content now to wait inside the lodge. Again, tensions run high, accusations are made. Finn suggests they contact Emerson and ask him to trap the animal that is suspected of killing Dave. But no one wants to go with him until Cecily eventually agrees. She's still pissy with him, rightfully so, about the other night. The journey is less jovial though, but Finn does apologise and struggles to express himself. Cecily does suggest that he's just too nice. We get all of this here.
Yeah.
In the lodge, Sam is trying to talk to the pipeline holdouts and accepting his offer as Trisha looks to have lost her mind, knitting without really paying any attention. Janine brings Dr. Jane a drink, and we see that she has set up a lab in her room. She's a cold woman, but focused clearly, even though it's also clear she knows something more. That's the thing. They're constantly like, she knows something more.
Yeah.
And you expect that to be revealed. They never do.
I didn't get it. It might be me reading too much into it, but obviously they mentioned about there's no phone lines, no interconnection. How does all equipment work?
I presume it's not internet connected. It's
just like
we do establish the lodge didn't generate. No, lodge generator. Did it? They must. They probably say there's a backup generator.
There was power in it.
Yeah. At Emerson's house, Finn tries to get the courage to knock. As him and Cecily descend into one of their off-the-wall conversations, there are a few too many of that, where they're just distracted and talking about nothing. Emerson opens the door and it appears as though his generator was hit too. Inside, the hunting proposal is heard by Emerson, but he refuses. Cecily is happy to go, but Finn tries to talk him round by doing a whole "the town needs you" speech, which I thought was weird.
I know.
Yeah. At the lodge, words are being spoken amongst certain groups, with suspicions of murder being levelled at Janine and Emerson. As Finn continues to try and talk Emerson around, Cecily notices the missing dog collar on the shelf. And she brings it to Finn's attention and they attempt to make a quick exit. Now, they go really over the top here, trying to get out. And it looks like Emerson might be looming large over them. They can't open the door, but he's just, you know. I don't mind that scene.
Yeah,
though.
it's stupid funny. Yeah.
And you know where it's going as well.
Yeah.
Back at the lodge, Cecily declares that Emerson is to blame, but Finn claims, look, we don't know that's for sure.
It'd be too obvious.
It's way obvious, yes. They're over the top as they try. It doesn't matter for the townspeople, though, or all who are happy to believe it. Because, of course, you would believe the isolationist out of the town would be the werewolf.
Course,
or the killer. They don't know werewolf yet. Later, Dr. Jane speaks to Janine about what she found out about the beast that attacked the dog. And Dave, she knows it as canine, but isn't sure. As she talks, we see Gwen approaching a cool painting of a werewolf. And I was like, oh, so because she's talking and she's approaching this cool werewolf, that's for us.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's called Werewolves Within. You've shown us all these sort of sequences that certainly implied a big beastie with big claws. And wolves don't have, like normal wolves, claws like that.
What else could it be?
Like, it's not that subtle. That night, everyone has decided to stay in the lodge for now, staying there for the night. There's going to be some doubling up and everyone has guns. And we see that Pete is kind of the worst as he suggests Cecily can stay in his room in front of his wife.
No.
Finn goes to see Dr. Jane, knocking on her door but not getting an answer at first. We see that she is analysing something and is about halfway done. Yeah, don't worry about that, it's irrelevant.
I think that's forever, man.
The residents barricade themselves in the lodge and everyone settles down to sleep. Someone, though, or something is creeping around, though, and Dave is the unlucky sleeper who gets attacked in his bed and dragged down the hall. His hand is bitten off as Gwen fires into the dark and is trying to help him. But whatever it was gets away, and apparently no one saw it. And Gwen accidentally shot Dave here. This is absurd.
Yeah.
It is not pitch dark. You would have seen something. Dave would have fucking seen something. Felt
like
something.
that sort of size.
Where did it go? This is dumb. Like I was like, come on, film. Come on, film. You know what I'd have had? Dave popped out the front for a quick cigarette.
Yep.
Standing at the front. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but it happened inside, but then you can't do the whole someone in the lodge, that kind of thing,
Yeah,
you know?
but then I also thought that, like, you know, when a werewolf turned, they can't just turn at will.
Well, no, so you're doing pre-established rules. I always say a film could do its own rules.
Yeah, true, yeah.
So it's perfectly fine by me.
Yeah.
Change it up. Don't follow the traditional rules and so on. But then this doesn't really establish a lot of that anyway, because it's still about a full moon.
Yeah.
It's just the night. So yeah, basically nobody saw anything. Dr. Sarah tries to help, but finds another hair in his body and takes it, and a flask from Sam. So, like, she takes the hair and Sam offers her a flask of what I guess is booze, and she takes it. Going back to her room, she has a drink and then notices blood on her hand before locking the door behind her. And I was like, what is going on with her? It's really fucking weird, and none of it matters.
Nope.
In the lobby, Trisha asked the question we're all asking. How did it get in and out? Who says it did? Is the answer. Maybe it's amongst us. Werewolves Within! The Jane's research comes back inconclusive. And I was like, you dumbass film.
All that effort, man.
And frustrated, she takes a gun out of her bag. Looking at the window, she reflects on the series of events and starts to panic. Finn knocks on the door, but she doesn't answer, so they leave. As they walk away, though, she shoots through the door and tells them to stay away. Probably didn't have to shoot them, right?
No.
She now reveals that she thinks the assailant is a werewolf who's one of the lodge's current inhabitants, and she doesn't trust anyone now. And I was like, why inconclusive then?
Yep.
Why not have it come up saying lycanthropy, lichen, whatever, and so on? And it turns out she's not an environmentalist. She follows and studies werewolves. So she has the equipment to identify it and all this kind of thing. And then her reaction would make more sense. But it coming up inconclusive, I'm like, well, now she's just decided it is.
It proves nothing,
Sam takes Janine's keys to come in via a different door, and apparently inside they get into a struggle with the gun going off several times. A period of silence. Parker opens the door and claims that Dr. Jane shot herself. She panicked and shot herself. Which, okay, alright, it's just to add more suspicion on Sam.
Yeah, exactly,
Sometime afterwards, they've secured the lodge and they discuss some of the things they know about werewolves and other mythological monsters. Once again, accusations are being thrown around, this time with suspicions around who might be a werewolf and a connection to the pipeline. It turns into a standoff with guns drawn, but Finn is able to calm things down, getting everyone to put their guns away until they can figure things out. I was like, what? That makes no sense.
Nope.
These people are so het up. They're also kind of American-like. I can't believe they'll just go, okay, take our guns and put them away in a separate room and lock the door.
Nope.
No, I'm just going to keep my gun on me.
Yep.
Thank you. Do you see what I mean? Momentarily, everyone seems determined to force the werewolf of hiding. But almost immediately, the arguments start again. And this is why I realised, this movie's dropped.
Yeah.
Like, it now doesn't really know what to do.
Yep.
It knows it needs to get to an ending. But it's just kind of like...
It's not sure how to do it.
It does not. It has to stall for time.
Yeah.
And this entire middle portion, or latter to end portion, I think is the most boring, mind-numbing. You could skip huge sections of it, and nothing would matter. Pete seems to be a bit manic, declaring that he is a werewolf before suggesting maybe they all are and don't know it. He's brought back to sense though, and the accusations are once again brought back up. See, again there, just straight back to the same thing. I did like the fact though, they were like, she's just like, you're not a werewolf, and he goes, okay then. Because he's been shot and his hand's bitten off.
Yeah,
and like, what really annoys me is nobody seems that concerned about him. He's clearly going to bleed to death.
He's bleeding out here.
He makes a powerful point though, but enough is enough, and everyone starts to leave the head home. So after all of that, everyone's heading home anyway.
In the dark.
So from, we're going to stay here where it's safe, it's like, no, I'm just going home.
In the snowy dark too, through the woods.
Yep. The only ones to remain are Finn, Cecily, and Janine. And they set back to barricade themselves in. And there you go. It's one of those three. Mm-hmm. It is, because they're the only three ones that have got the screen time. The tensions amongst the townspeople have reached a boiling point, though, as now things are going to go off the wall. Mm-hmm. In the lodge, Finn is woken up by a scream and runs into Cecily and Janine in a series of comedy jump scares. Wah.
Yep.
Janine is sent to her room, and that's why I thought this happens a lot in the film, where she's just told to go away. And she goes, oh, okay then, like that kind of thing. And here's a good example. And I was like, if she was the werewolf, it would be almost funny, because she's such a meek character, she turns into this beast.
The thing is, though, from then, I completely forgot about her. And it was only at the end, it was like, oh yeah, shit, I forgot about her.
Yeah. Finn and Cecily go to Sam's room. They find a window open, but they find the newspaper cuttings and notes that suggest that Sam has been tracking previous locations of attacks, because of course he has.
Yep.
Not only that, but he also seemed to match the locations that Finn has been in before. Wow. Which is such a coincidence. They then discovered a wrapped knife, noticing it smells of diesel. And I was like, wait a minute, you were seriously suggesting that knife is used, to slash the generators? But we saw them. They were jagged rips, like ridiculous. 3 or 4 claws down.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Out in the woods, Joachim and Devon are being attacked. Oh yeah, remember them?
Yep.
It's Trisha, and she's gone insane, killing Devon. Wow. I was doing like, wait, what?
I know.
What? Meanwhile, Sam is all tooled up with a crossbow, and he breaks into the lodge. For some reason, Sam got his gear, went out the window, to then come back in, but making all the noise possible. Instead of waiting in the room, with the lights off, the goggles on, they came in, shoot with a crossbow. It made no fucking sense.
Or just lie.
He thinks Finn is the werewolf. Mm-hmm. But this character, who apparently is so sure, will now spend the rest of the movie not just sucking, but talking. And he becomes that villain where they talk before they kill someone. As Finn and Cecily try to sneak by, he gives chase, but they're able to hide outside. Under the lodge, they run into Joachim, scared and worried about Devon. Are you bored? Because I bloody was.
Yep.
They sneak to Trisha's house, finding Marcus with a Freddy Krueger hand. That at least laughed at.
Yeah.
Things have gotten out of control, clearly. As he runs across the street, though, he's run over by Gwen, who isn't paying attention, and then Trisha shoots her dead. And I was like, this is insane. This is just too much.
Yeah, at this point, I actually, this is where I thought, well, maybe there is no werewolf.
Yeah, and it would have worked.
Yeah.
But all we saw were people arguing.
Yeah.
We didn't see moments of violence or things that were really heating up to warrant this level of insanity. She corners the others at the back doors and reveals that she killed Devon. Moment distracted by a now clearly dead Dave, Joachim kills her with a poker, and they run outside while Sam is waiting. Wondering who is hunting who, basically, Joachim takes Cecily hostage with a gun, believing she is the werewolf. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
As Finn tries to talk him down, Sam shoots him with a crossbow. As he reloads, Cecily tries to get the car started, but it won't start, and Sam is able to then get hold of her. As Finn hides, Sam reveals that he suspects Finn of being a werewolf because he worked in locations where previous attacks occurred.
You can't, because that bit annoyed me. Because you shot him with an arrow, which is clearly silver. It hit him in the arm. No reaction at all. Werewolves are made of bloody burn and silver.
Was it of silver?
I presume so. If it was a hunter, surely it's a silver
I
arrow.
don't know if it necessarily was. I don't know if that was a thing.
I would have presumed it's a silver arrow because obviously he's a hunter.
Yeah, but again, it's sticking to the established werewolf lore. And sometimes it's like watching the difference between watching Twilight.
Because when he's on top of him, he pulls it out. He goes, "This is pure silver," and then he stabs him. And no reaction.
Oh, okay.
That's why I got that from.
Right, so no, that is the case then, yeah. Finn comes out and puts up an argument that there never was a werewolf. And then you're like, oh, that could be where they go.
But it's so much better.
And that Sam intentionally caused the paranoia grip on Beaverfield in order to have his proposed pipeline approved. Which is literally a storyline. There it is.
But that's it, yeah.
Before he can shoot Finn, though, Cecily gets free and Finn and Sam fight. Sam gets the upper hand against Finn, but a dying Joachim manages to kill him. Woo! Is it all over? Maybe there never was a werewolf and it was all about paranoia. Except, who killed Dave and the dog? All of this stuff.
Yeah, exactly,
the film hasn't played it coy. So it doesn't matter. We know. And all you had to do, right?
It's a wolf.
But all you had to do to know is look at the runtime.
Yeah.
And go, there's 50 minutes left.
Yeah.
So we're not done. Because Finn and Cecily have a moment in the bar as she goes to get a first aid kit. But something for some reason is gnawing away at him though, and he hears a phone going off. Following the sound, which we recognise as Dave's phone from the beginning, Finn finds a room with all the mail undelivered and all the clues that revealed the truth. And I was like, my God, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in this film. So she just kept the room of everything?
I mean,
didn't turn Dave's phone off, which hasn't run out of battery, but just kept everything there to be found by anyone.
There's a lot of mail, so that implies she's been delivering for months.
Well, no, it implies Dave was Beaverfield's previous mail carrier.
Yeah.
And that she killed him.
Yeah, she killed him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, the woman said to me at the start of the film, like, I've been waiting 3 weeks for this fuel motor.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, I didn't really get it either.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is I don't really get the purpose of the mail, because the whole point is she killed Dave so that she could then become the town's mail person. She was delivering mail. Mm-hmm. But we already established that maybe, I suppose Dave could have died a few weeks before.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's bad. Yeah, because he was, I suppose they never really established how, we're so stupid. 29.5 days later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, that's our fault. That's our bad. That's our mistake.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Cecily's the werewolf. In the bar, he confronts her and she admits it. She says she's just too good to be true. She turned the residents against each other to make feasting on them easier. What? That made no sense. I was like, why? No, that makes no sense. Yeah.
I mean, with a town with about 15, 20 people, you could have killed them all anyway.
Well, she will eventually, I guess. But that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And she turns into a werewolf, attempting to kill Finn. But for a series of different things we've learned across the movie, he's able to kill DeFito with the help of Emerson and with the help of Janine as well. And there you go. It's not over yet, though. Well, Emerson, that's the thing. Janine kills her the final time at the end with the crossbow.
Yep.
Well, you said you didn't like the ending.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the werewolf looked terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. A CGI or costume.
No, it's a costume. It's a costume, which I do appreciate.
Yeah, it just looked absolutely terrible. I mean, if we're going by, again, this is just me. If we're going by werewolf lore, Emerson got bitten, so he's now a werewolf. So
you can't. No, we don't do that.
Number 2.
You don't do that. This is. I'll use the best example I can. Contrast the werewolf lore between American Werewolf in London and Dog Soldiers.
Yeah.
Those are two different styles of werewolves with different rules. But also with vampires. Contrast Interview with Vampire, right? Mm-hmm. With Twilight's vampires, with 30 Days of Night's vampires. They're all John Carpenter's vampires. They're, like, do what you want with the lore. I don't think it means anything. I really don't. Because then why didn't Dave turn into a werewolf then? Why he died?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That kind of thing. What point does the werewolf curse disappear when you're killed? That kind of thing. I think it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because I was wholly unsatisfied by the ending, and it felt like I'd watched them been like for a bit of a slog by the end. Because of that main middle portion that drags just so much. And all the complaints I've had up to this point, none of them are answered. They're all valid, and all I see is different results that could have made it better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, overall, it's a very, very average film.
Don't backtrack. You said you liked it. You
No,
said you enjoyed it. Just because I don't like it.
But I like it. I mean, if I like it as it's a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. It's not an 8 out of 10. You know? I mean,
I mean, that would make it a great movie. It's certainly not a great movie.
It's got bits I like, but it's got more that I dislike than I do like.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's me as well. Like, there are moments I like, but the overall package for me is so flawed, has so many issues, and it just, here's the thing, it's a hidden, like, sort of movie because it wasn't promoted well. People don't really know about it. But I think, like, when people watch it, they'll be like, oh, it was a bit of a waste. I think it's very throwaway. I think you could, like, potentially see it as a popcorn flick.
Yeah.
It isn't really doing anything. It's not harming anybody. It's not saying anything, or all of these elements. So you can enjoy it maybe in that fact. I do think some people enjoy it maybe more than I did. I think you enjoyed it a little bit more than I did.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's middle of the road, average at best, but I lean more towards the below side. So as you're leaning to a 5 or 6, I'm leaning to a 4 or a 5 more than anything else.
Do you think if they had done the whole there is no creature, do you think you would give it a higher score?
It really depends upon how we got there. If everything played out exactly the same as it did, and that was the end result, no. Because everything else still exists, the problem still exists.
Yeah.
All the boring bits and all of that. It would need to it needs a better script.
Yeah.
It needs to be retold in a certain way. It would need to be more subtle. And the problem with that, though, right, is I could see it as well. It's just because I want it to be more subtle, but that could have just resulted in being even more boring. Because nothing's happening. You see what I mean? We're not being shown anything because they want to get to this point. They almost can't win. They almost can't win with this one.
Yeah, definitely.
As a video game movie adaptation, doesn't mean anything.
Nope.
I don't have any association with it. So from what I gather, the fact that the game is set in a medieval fantasy town means there's probably little to connect the two aside from the whole suspicions about a werewolf.
Yeah.
But from what I gather, that's more detective based. This isn't. So I don't really think it works either way. I think most people watch it and never even know it was a video game.
Yeah. Definitely.
There you go. That's our thoughts on Werewolves Within. What do you reckon? You got any thoughts? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.